A very good evening and welcome to RTV News in English. I'm William Evans. First, the headlines. An initiative to take pictures and verify personal details has begun in the city of Kigali, aimed at issuing digital national identity cards to citizens. While more than 2 million people in Rwanda seek treatment for respiratory diseases every year. I'm William Evans, and now this is the news in detail. Let's begin by informing you that on Friday afternoon, President Paul Kagame received Her Excellency Luisa Maria Machado de Palma Fragasso, Ambassador of Portugal to Rwanda, for a farewell meeting as she ends her tour of duty. They discussed the strong and productive bilateral relations between Rwanda and Portugal. Now, an initiative to take pictures and verify personal details has begun in the city of Kigali, aimed at issuing digital national identity cards to citizens, and residents have welcomed the initiative. The exercise started in some sectors of 3 districts that make up the city of Kigali, and on its first day, those who took part said they had been eagerly waiting for it. The Director General of the National Identification Agency, Josephine Mukesha, has called on citizens to take part in this exercise.
Kigali, we finished the 6th district in the southern province. Now in Kigali, we'll be here from today all the way to 2nd of April, but we'll be shifting in each sectors. So we have a schedule in the 3 districts within the city of Kigali. We are doing two sectors at a time, and we rotate in a weekly time. And we work from Tuesday all the way to Sunday, so that we can allow parents that are working or even to bring their children on site so they can be able to pre-enroll and enroll them. What we encourage parents and even citizens in the city of Kigali is to really embrace this activity and to come on time to pre-enroll and enroll, and ensure that their family tree is well done, so that they need to bring the ID numbers of their parents, and when they are married, they also bring the ID number of their spouse. And we've noticed that some parents in primary school, we are finding children who are not registered in civil registration. So we are encouraging them to go to the SEDO. They can enroll their children, and then they come with their application number at the site, and then they'll be able to seamlessly access the service. Additionally, we also provide this pre-enrollment and enrollment service via eRembo. So if you have smartphone or you have a laptop, you can easily do the pre-enrollment in the comfort of your home with everybody in your household, and then you come on site just to provide your biometrics. And this process doesn't take 5 minutes per person.
Now, NIDA says that in 10 days, the exercise will be extended to other sectors across Kigali. Tomorrow News, governance analysts say that holding leaders accountable and putting citizens at the center of policy making are among the key approaches that could help African countries address the challenges facing their people. We do have details to this report.
I am an ASG pioneer, class of 2025.
Students from the African School of Governance were among the participants at the 20th Umushyikirano Council. They say the forum provided a valuable opportunity to better understand how the theories they study in class can be translated into real practice.
We're talking about accountability, ethics, implementation, different challenges, and we get to really have insight on some strategic things like NSD2, which was my highlight because we get to see where the country is at when it comes to progress. Strategic things like NSD2, which was my highlight because we get to see where the country is at when it comes to progress, and we get to see what strategic planning looks like in real life.
Accountability and leadership are interlinked. Without accountability, the governance just crumbles. So what we learned from the president of Rwanda today and the cabinet, the ministers, is we have to be accountable for the to the citizens. We have to be accountable leaders, and what I'm learning is what I'll implement back in my country as a leader of civil society and as a leader coming from ASG. So yes, that is it. Thank you. The ministers is we have to be accountable to the citizens. We have to be accountable leaders, and what I'm learning is what I'll implement back in my country as a leader of civil society and as a leader coming from ASG.
A political and governance analyst and lecturer at the University of Rwanda, Dr. Eric Ndushabandi, says Umushyikirano is one of the platforms that can help African countries find homegrown and sustainable solutions to their challenges and build citizen-centered development.
harimo ingingo nyinshi rero ushobora kubona mu mushyikirano wafasha Africa.
There are several aspects from Umushyikirano that can help Africa. The first is security to all and rights to all. Without this, Umushyikirano cannot be possible. The aspect of accountability and transparency remains among Africa's biggest problem. People are still fighting over personal interests or the interests of a specific few or a group or tribe. Africa still lacks executing obligations based on vision. Instead, many implement what other countries have asked them to, and because of this, many do not have long-term agendas and discipline.
Kiri kiza kibereye abenegihugu niyo nzira yonyine Afrika igomba kunyura kandi umushyikirano urabizana neza.
President Paul Kagame has reiterated that Africa's long history of colonization should not be used as an excuse for governance failures or poor living conditions of its people. Sometimes we have excuses that people who in the past have caused us problems still come back and find ways of exerting their powers over us. Sometimes they do it in disguised ways. We can blame them, but since you know it will not change, why do you accept it? Why don't you establish your own system and boundaries so that you can achieve your goals? What's stopping us? Shall we keep in the past, in the days of slave trade and colonial times? What have you gone home with concerning those things? Political and governance analysts note that Umushyikirano demonstrates the values of dialogue-based politics grounded in genuine engagement between leaders and citizens, pooling efforts and prioritizing the common good approaches they say are critical for African countries seeking to build governance systems that deliver lasting solutions to the continent's challenges. Now, every year, more than 2 million people in Rwanda seek treatment for respiratory diseases. Doctors who treat these conditions say that they are most common among people working in mining without proper protection, as well as smokers.
When we say non-communicable diseases, we will start with what we call obstructive lung diseases. That will include asthma and another disease which people are not aware, but which is the leading cause of death and mortality. We call it COPD, or chronic obstructive lung disease. In fact, it's very common in low and middle-income countries because it kills more people. But unfortunately, in one of the research we did in Rwanda, only 6% know that disease. And interestingly, when someone gets kind of cold asthma beyond the age of 30 or 40, likely it's COPD rather than being asthma. So that's one of the disease we call obstructive. I mentioned two. There are many others. And then the other one will be like lung cancers. Lung cancers are many. So these are the other type of diseases we encounter, which is non-communicable disease. The other one also is occupational lung disease, like those working in mining and those working in industry. Also, they tend to have what we call occupational lung diseases, so like pneumoconiosis. Occupational lung diseases maybe for farmers, they have their own diseases. Those who work in farming, they may have their own diseases. So there is another one which is very common, non-communicable disease, allergic diseases like rhinitis, like tracheitis, all those diseases which are very common, is also common and non-communicable. And then I'll move to the communicable diseases, where we include like pneumonia, like tuberculosis, like common cold or flu. These are very common. So people are familiar with common cold, or maybe influenza. Sometimes they confuse it with allergic diseases. But what is the difference? Usually it's a matter of fever and aching the whole body.
Now, doctors' advice is to stop smoking, or strictly stop smoking, but also to undergo lung checkups regularly.
Predicting the future within 10 to 20 years, I think in terms of complication, in terms of respiratory diseases. So that will be like the chronicity. And the prediction goes with the political will of the country and also the way they are fighting this kind of disease in terms of prevention. So if there is no action done, of course the respiratory disease will be the leading cause of death in the future. But to what I know, what I see, is that there is a lot of efforts to reduce these diseases. But as I mentioned, collaborative efforts and individual level is the one. Now we have like training programs, and also the nation is joining international bodies which fight respiratory diseases with some targets. For example, if we say air pollution or climate change, so really the nation is doing its best. Like one of the example, you see industrial zones where they separate these zones to separate areas. Of course, that's not enough. And when you say like maybe electric cars, renewable energy, that's one of the output the country is doing to curb those complications. But if not at individual level and collaborative, the respiratory disease will be the leading death within 10, even not 10, in the future.
Now, respiratory diseases include both infectious and non-communicable ones, and in children, pneumonia ranks first among respiratory diseases, while in adults, conditions that block the airways and make breathing difficult affect many people, and research has shown that they account for 6% of deaths among those who suffer from them. Now, students enrolled in Isomo Cycles, a program focused on strengthening English proficiency and digital skills, says that the initiative is equipping them with the competences needed for personal growth and access to opportunities on the international job market, preparing them to become future leaders. We do have details to this report. As government of Rwanda continues to prioritize the transition of a knowledge-based economy, a national community-centered program known as Isomo Circles has been introduced. The initiative aims to develop students' capabilities in leadership, communication, technology, and values. Participants say the program has added significant value to their learning, noting that the skills acquired are already benefiting their education and are expected to contribute to their personal development as well as national progress.
Isomo riza ryunganira ibyo wiga ku ishuri.
The lessons here supplement what we learn at school. The math, physics, and computer lessons cannot give you all the knowledge you need, thus making Isomo really important.
Ibindi bigiye bisanzwe byo buzima busanzwe mu byukuri turebye u Rwanda rwacu ahazaza.
Looking at the future of our country, Rwanda needs good future leaders that are skilled and capable. Isomo is a great initiative for shaping such leaders. I am confident that as future leaders, we will be able to make Rwanda great.
Nk'urubyiruko tuzarugeza ahakomeye rukabigihangangiye ku isi.
Tania Chirezimvano says the training offered through Isomo Circles has brought noticeable positive change among students, particularly in nurturing the values of good leadership the country aspires to build.
Before the program, what was evident was that most of the students do not understand the essence of what they're learning. They feel like learning is just for passing a class or having good grades. But at Isomo, as the program started, we started seeing their perspective around learning change. They build a love for learning, seeing learning in another lens as a means and an opportunity to shape their character, to shape who they are, and become responsible, dignified citizens of the country.
The managing director of Isomo Academy says the program was designed to equip Rwandan children with the knowledge and skills required to compete on the global stage while also contributing meaningfully to national development.
Our dream at Isomo Circles is to improve key skills and knowledge among the youth, especially focusing on the problem of English proficiency and digital learning. We say that the internet has made the world a village. We want our people to participate and learn in this village so that we can be competent and competitive, not just here at home, but also on the international market and the international stage.
The Deputy Director General of Rwanda Basic Education Board, Dr. Flora Mtezigaju, says Isomo Circles complements existing programs under the Ministry of Education and is expected to make a strong contribution to the advancement of education and national development. Isomo Circles is only here to supplement our other programs that we already have as a ministry. We are looking at it as one of the ways of producing secondary school students with the right skills, knowledge and moral values to help them succeed in life. Launched last year in 12 schools, the Isomo Circles program has now expanded to 40 schools, with plans underway to roll it out further across the country. Now, earlier this week, our colleague Enora Gladys sat down with the president of Apex Brazil, Mr. George Viana, who is leading Brazil's largest ever business mission to Rwanda. Look at what they talked about.
O Brasil estabeleceu relações diplomáticas com Rwanda na década de 80, em 1981.
Brazil established diplomatic relations with Rwanda back in the 1980s. In 1981, more recently, during President Lula's third term, Brazil decided to open an embassy here in the capital. This decision also responds positively to Rwanda's gesture of opening its embassy in Brasilia. This development creates new possibilities to expand trade, which is currently very modest considering Rwanda's economic strength and its positive phase of economic growth, as well as Brazil's position as a major economy among the BRICS countries. Brazil's GDP exceeds $2.5 trillion, slightly less than the combined GDP of all African countries. What Brazil is doing now under President Lula's third term is once again making Africa a priority. The agency I work for, Apex Brazil, has been conducting several missions. This is our fourth, and based on the territorial division we established on the continent, specifically Southern Africa, Northern Africa, Western Africa, and East Africa. This mission to East Africa also creates opportunities for us to establish an Apex presence in the region, developing an Africa-focused project within the agency I lead. As a result, we will certainly see many cooperation initiatives and commercial actions emerging from this mission. Brazil has brought 26 companies from different sectors of our economy to meet with the Rwandan economic sectors, and tomorrow we will hold dozens of business matchmaking meetings. With the opening of the embassies, especially the Brazilian embassy here in Rwanda, results are already beginning to emerge. The embassy was opened last year, and our ambassador is very dynamic. While there is no formal trade agreement, there are cooperation agreements in areas such as education, food security, health, and political dialogue. In many ways, this is just the beginning of a relationship between the people and institutions. As a consequence, we also expect growth in trade, which is of great interest to us. About 15 years ago, during President Lula's previous administration, Brazil's trade flow with the African continent exceeded $28 billion. It later fell to $11 billion and has now recovered to $23 billion thanks to the efforts of President Lula's government and the decision to once again bring Brazil closer to Africa. Here in Rwanda, this is something new. We are just starting, but based on our knowledge, I would say this is where we see the greatest potential for growth in the short and medium term. Rwanda is earning a strong reputation worldwide, and we in Brazil are convinced that Rwanda currently offers the best business environment in Africa for Brazilian companies and investors. It provides legal certainty, economic stability, political stability, and a comprehensive framework of protection for those who wish to invest. In other words, everything needed to attract Brazilian investment is already in place. What we need to do now is to identify the sectors and groups interested in investing here, while simultaneously expanding trade between Rwanda and Brazil. President Lula always emphasizes one point. He wants trade to grow, but as a win-win policy. Rwanda benefits by exporting to Brazil, and Brazil benefits by exporting to Rwanda.
Entre Ruanda e Brasil. Mas o presidente Lula sempre faz uma ressalva. Ele quer que o comércio cresça, mas que seja uma política do ganha-ganha. Ruanda ganha exportando para o Brasil e o Brasil, por outro lado, ganha também exportando para a Ruanda.
That brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. I'm William Evans Mtawazi. From me and the rest of the team, have a good night and goodbye.